Welcome and thank you for being with us for our online information evening as we help our newest Year 7 students prepare to embark on their secondary education journey. My name is Keert and it's my pleasure as Principal of Cobden Technical School to be taking these early steps with you. It's an incredible time to be starting secondary school. We've had a year that has needed every cliche and buzzword that we could think of to describe it. It's been unprecedented, unusual, unlike any other, a 1 in 100 year event. We've gotten through the year's challenges, hurdles, restrictions, troubles and problems. We've had to look for a new normal, a COVID normal, been cautiously optimistic and look for the way going forward. Even as we prepare this, our world is moving in and out of ISO. Thankfully, technology has helped us pull through. So thank you for joining us in this new space. We've been enjoying learning new skills to connect with our communities, and we very much look forward to having you as part of that family in 2021. As our new students join us, we're excited that you'll head through your secondary schooling with the state-of-the-art equipment in our Trade Training Centre available to you in every year. You'll have the opportunity to be one of just a handful of secondary schools involved in the Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden program. You'll be able to take part in our rock bands and try sports you may not have even heard of, including clay target shooting and maybe even lawnmower racing. We'll be supporting you through your education with smaller class sizes, a wide range of electives and extensive careers education. You'll have access to specialist literacy and numeracy support in a range of formats, including in your classes and in small group settings. You'll have opportunities to shape your pathway in whatever direction you choose as you work towards joining an exceptional group of graduates, with our past students working in such diverse fields as politics, trades, business, nanotechnologies, and the health sciences. I'm excited to be here with you this evening and look forward to unpacking a little of what Year 7 is like at Cobden Technical School. Sharing the mic with me today is Assistant Principal Cassandra Crevola, who's going to outline what we're discussing today.
Thanks so much, Mr. Keert, and thanks to everyone for joining us here this afternoon. So in order to give you a bit of an overview of what we're here for this afternoon, we're going to be talking about the things that you're going to be able to expect as a new Year 7 coming into Cobden Technical School at the start of next year. We're really excited to have you joining us, and we just want to be able to answer some of the questions that you might have. So in the first part of this evening, we're going to be outlining for you the sub-school system, so what the school structure actually looks like for you. We're going to outline a typical day and week in Year 7. We're going to give you some details about our student management system, Compass. We're going to detail for you the kinds of student support that you might find available to you and how to access those things. We're going to tell you all about the co-curricular activities that you might be able to get involved in. We're going to go over a little bit of detail about Year 7 camp, uniform, reporting, and we're going to finish up with some key dates that will start us off for 2021. At the end of this video session, we're going to be going live on Facebook. So we'd like you to join us then and give us any of the questions that you might have, things that you've been wondering about and that you're hoping to have answered in order to make sure that you've got a really smooth start into Year 7. So let's get started. Let's put some faces to some names for you. First of all, you've heard Mr. Keert speak. He's our school principal. Second along on your screen is me. I'm the assistant principal and I also live in the admin area. Liz Formby is our transition coordinator. She works between Cobden's Technical School and the schools that you're coming from to make sure that our transition for you is as smooth as it can be. And the next three staff that you have, Fran Clark, Julie Simmons and Belinda Savage, work in our administration area. These lovely people, along with Sophie Hickey, our trainee, will be the people that you're speaking to if you ring into the school over the next few weeks as we come into the end of 2020. So next up we have some information about our school structure, and there are two parts to this. The first part is that in 2021 we're moving to a new sub-school system. That will mean that when you come into school at Year 7, you're going to be joining our junior school years. That's Year 7 and 8. We'll also have middle school and senior school leaders in Years 9 and 10 and Years 11 and 12. So that means when you come into junior school at year 7, you're going to find that there is one person you can go to for anything that you might need help with. They're going to be the person who's responsible for looking after you in conjunction with your teachers. We also have a house system that sits alongside that. Now, with our houses, you're going to be part of a house that you will represent in our athletics competitions, our swimming competitions, cross country, and in all the fantastic activities that we run during lunchtimes as well. So there are, as you can see, 2 parts of school structure. The one that you're going to be interacting with on an everyday basis will be that sub-school system and your junior school leader. We're still in the process of appointing our school leaders, and we're going to let you know very shortly when you get to meet who your new junior school leader is going to be. For many people, one of the most exciting things about moving to secondary school is the opportunity to explore a lot of new subjects. And that's exactly what's going to happen for you when you move to Cobden Technical School. You're going to have 8 subjects per semester, and that's likely going to mean 7 or 8 teachers each semester. So you're going to end up with a different teacher for many of your classes, and that means that you've got teachers who are experts in all of the subjects that they're teaching you for. You will also have a mentor teacher, and I'm going to outline in a little bit what that means. And over the course of each term and over the course of each semester, half a year, you're going to get the opportunity to engage in learning tasks for each of those subjects. That is, you'll have some work that you do and you'll have some assessments in each subject that you're studying. That's going to mean that you're also practicing some skills in time management and in getting to know what are the things I'm best at and what are the things that I'm going to be challenged by. So it's a really exciting move. And here we have an outline of what a typical week will look like for you in Year 7. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the subjects that you'll be doing all year. We often refer to these as core subjects. So if you hear that expression, it's these subjects that it's referring to. So English, humanities, science, maths, health and PE, and Indonesian are core subjects for our Year 7 students. And you can see that you have either 5 or 3 sessions per week for each of those subjects. On the right-hand side of your screen are the subjects that you'll try for 1 term in the year. For each of these subjects, you'll have 3 sessions per week, and you'll get to try skills in areas that you might not have tried before. You'll get to work in our Trade Training Centre and in other specialist areas across the school with teachers who'll be working to build your skills in these, some of them very new areas, including art, digitech and robotics, electrical, food, metal, music, textiles, and wood. So what does that look like on a typical day? In front of you, you have a day in the life of a Year 7 student. So this is a fairly typical timetable that you might encounter on a Thursday. The first part of the day from 9 o'clock is 10 minutes of mentor time. And what that time is used for is to make sure that you're settled in the morning, you've got everything ready for your first 2 classes, that you've had an opportunity to say hello to some of your classmates, and you've met your teacher, your mentor, for the morning, who provides you with any notices that you might need, outlines for you what's happening in the day, and also takes time to check in with you and see how you're travelling. So your mentor is a really important contact person each morning. Over the course of the rest of the day, you'll have 6 48-minute sessions. So you start the day with sessions 1 and 2, and that takes you through to recess. Then you have sessions 3 and 4, and then you move on to lunch, and then you have 5 and 6 before the end of the day. You will have a combination of subjects over the course of the week where some are in single sessions and some are in doubles. So you can see in our sample Thursday timetable that you might have encountered tomorrow morning if you were starting with this today. You might have had textiles for session 1 followed by English. You might have had maths and art for sessions 3 and 4. You might have had humanities as a double for sessions 5 and 6. And that represents a really typical day where you've got a mix of what we might call core subjects and hands-on subjects, and you have the opportunity to try a whole lot of different things over the course of the day. Now, that might look really quite different to what you're used to at primary school, and it does take a little bit of getting used to the fact that you've got to carry your books between classes, you've got to carry your materials between classes, and you have to get ready a little bit differently. So what does that look like? What does it mean when you have to get ready for a day? Getting organised in Year 7 is going to look a little bit different. You're going to spend your days, as we said, moving between classes. So you're going to need to prepare your materials, whether that be books, pencil case, it might be something for a practical subject, it might be that you need a textbook. You're going to need to prepare them for 2 sessions at a time. So we don't go back to our lockers after session 1. We make sure that when we head to mentor session in the morning, that you've got all your materials for sessions 1 and 2. And then you only head back to your locker after session 2. Just the same, at the end of recess, you make sure you've got all your materials for session 3 and 4. It helps to speed up the day, makes everyone feel a little bit more organised, and it stops us having to go back to our lockers without need for it. So that means that you will have a locker. You're going to need to bring along a lock, and you're going to need to keep all your materials safely stored in that locker when you're not using them. So that's your safe space for all of your personal belongings. That includes your mobile phone from the start to the end of the day, because of course your mobile phone is not to be with you during the course of the day if you're bringing one to school. It is really important that you do have your own stationery and materials. So you are expected to have all of the things that you need for classes that aren't being provided by your teacher. So if your teacher's providing your woodworking materials, you need to make sure that you've got your pens and your pencils and your exercise books to make sure that you're ready for that subject. And that's really important, and a very important skill for you to have on board as you move through secondary school. On to some information now about Compass. Now, you may have heard about Compass already through your primary school, so just a little bit of an overview on what we use it for. Compass is an online management system which is accessible on any internet-connected device. It's used by staff, students and families because it's a one-stop shop for information about what's going on at school. Each of the users for Compass, so that's families, staff and students, get their own logins, and yes, we can absolutely have different logins for different members of a family. It has apps that are optimized for individual smartphones, so it does display correctly on your phone, and that helps to simplify access a lot. One of the main things that families will use it for will be for indicating attendance. So families can view attendance of their student online, they can approve any absences, and they can also indicate future absences. So if you know, for example, that your child happens to have a medical appointment coming up, you can provide us that information ahead of time on Compass so that everybody knows exactly who's where. It also provides for us information about excursions or events that are coming up. You'll be able to access the details about those excursions, and as well as gain access to any forms that might be relevant to that event. Over the course of the year, you'll get access to reports, which will be generated as electronic PDF files that you can access on your device. We issue reports a number of times throughout the year so that we can all be on the same page about what's going on for the students in our school, and so that we can communicate home really early when we're travelling really well or when we need extra support for our students. We particularly enjoyed engaging with our families and parents in online meetings for parent-teacher interviews this year, which was definitely a first for us, but we really appreciated family flexibility, and we found that booking those through Compass worked really well for us. Compass is also fantastic about being able to provide SMS alerts. So we can actually text families through Compass, and we can even text families when a student is away unexpectedly. Through Compass, we provide a really detailed school calendar, which gives you all the details about upcoming events, which can include some of the excursions and excursion forms that we mentioned earlier. It provides you with a news feed, so a little bit like what you might see rotating through on something like Facebook. We're able to send home information with posts about events and activities that are coming up. We provide our learning tasks on Compass. So staff are able to communicate with students what it is that they're working on at any given time in classes, and families can also see that assessment, those learning tasks and the submission dates for those. And finally, and perhaps one of the most useful things it's for, is for making contact. So as you log in as a parent or as a family member on Compass, you can gain really easy access to emailing a child's individual teacher or a group of teachers, so that you can make contact with them if you need to. At the start of the new year, we'll provide all of our new families with their Compass login details, and if you haven't used it before, we're more than happy to go through with you the details in the how-to guide and help set you up with using it frequently. To make sure that every student achieves their best while they're at Cobden Technical School, we have a range of supports in place to assist all of our young people. Now, the first staff member that students will encounter on a daily basis, their mentor, is going to be the first port of call for any questions that they might have. And their mentor will be able to assist them with questions about what's happening on any given day, are there any changes to the timetable on a particular day, what events are coming up, and what they might need information on. The next person to assist will be the junior school leader, and that person will have responsibility for assisting with any wellbeing issues that might come up, assisting in interactions between students. That person's going to be an important contact with families and will assist with that next level of support. In terms of academic support, you can see the next 3 dot points that we have on our slide really cover those. We have literacy and numeracy support, which runs in a number of different formats across the school. We have staff working in literacy and numeracy who support within the classroom. That is, they come along to each class and they perhaps work with smaller groups of students to support their literacy or numeracy skills in individual classes. That program also works to support students who need extra help by taking them outside of the classroom on occasions when it's needed and working in one-to-one settings, or otherwise working in small groups. We also have, and you may have heard recently, there's been quite a bit of publicity on the radio and in the news with regards to the new tutor program. That's just fresh off the press, and we're still looking at how that's going to work in our school setting next year, but it's also going to be a really invaluable support for our young people after the really difficult year that we've had with remote learning, and that program will specifically support students who've been really adversely affected by the way that COVID impacted on our schooling this year. In the wellbeing area, we also have a number of staff who are particularly skilled in helping students through any issues that they might have. So we have a school counsellor who's on site 3 days a week, Julie White-Richardson. We have a school nurse, Melissa Benson, who has joined us this year, and we also have our school chaplain, Malcolm Ward. Those 3 people work on site on a part-time capacity, and we always have somebody on site to help our students with any issues that might come up. So across the course of the week, those 3 staff will be available, and again, they work with students sometimes in small group settings, sometimes with whole classes, and occasionally on a one-to-one basis. So we have, as you can see, a range of different types of supports for students to make sure that everyone can achieve their best out of their time at Cobden Technical School. One of the most exciting things about moving to secondary school is the opportunity to try something that you might never have tried before, and one of the avenues for doing that is through co-curricular activities, so the stuff that happens outside the classroom and outside of your timetabled sessions. So on the screen we have a number of different things that we do run in the space of a typical year. Now, of course, some of these haven't been able to run this year, but we're really excited that our program for next year is already starting to fill up. So you'll experience sports including athletics, swimming, cross country, and summer and winter sports. We have house competitions that run at school, and that includes a number of staff versus student events, and I think we better let you know ahead of time, our staff are very competitive and very skilled. We have a rock bands program that runs across the course of the year, and that rock bands program is tailored for anyone with any level of musical skill. So we've got students who've joined the rock bands program having never picked up an instrument before, right through to students who have taken individual lessons for a long time. And what we do in that program is students are formed into bands, rock bands of course, and over the course of a year they have the opportunity to develop their skills in playing a number of different rock songs, and we gear up for a concert at the end of the year. We run a number of camps and excursions across the course of every year, and as we mentioned earlier, the information for those tends to come home through Compass and through a range of notices as well. We run a football academy throughout the cooler months. Our students have the opportunity to engage in our student leadership team, and we definitely encourage our younger students to get involved in that, and there'll be more information about that at the very start of the year. We have house activities and fundraising events that are run by students for students throughout our recess and lunchtime breaks, and sometimes in other forums as well. And whilst we haven't been able to run them recently, we're really, really hoping that in the near future we'll be able to get back into running our Indonesian tour to Bali. And our relationship with our sister school is still going strong. We run a Year 7 camp, which we hope to run during the course of Term 1. This year, of course, it looked a little bit different, and we've only just come back from our Year 7 camp to Port Fairy for 2020, but we're hoping that in 2021 we'll run that very early in the year. It's a fantastic opportunity for our students to get to know each other in a different setting, and for our staff to get to know our students as well. So we'll send home more details about that shortly, but we're angling for the later weeks of Term 1 next year. The school uniform is something that we expect all of our students to wear with pride. It's available from Risha's, and it has a range of different options so that students can be flexible and comfortable in what they are wearing. But we do expect them to wear it well, and if at any point you have difficulty in obtaining any of the uniform items, we do encourage you to contact your student's mentor, their sub-school leader, or to contact the front office, and we can provide support with uniform. Assessment and reporting at Cobden Technical School occurs in a number of ways. You will find that students have 6 progress reporting cycles per year. So what that means is that on a 6-weekly basis, or approximately, we'll be providing you feedback on students' effort in class, whether they've brought all their materials, whether or not they're meeting timelines, their behaviour in class, and the quality of their work. So feedback from us as a school is not just about how well they're doing academically, but it's also about the other skills that we want students to be developing over the course of their time at school. Students will be provided with end of semester reports, so that is twice yearly. But those will be comprised of their learning tasks, which will be conducted over the course of the year, and that means that they are available for families to look at on campus throughout the year. So you don't have to wait to the end of semester report to see how a student is travelling and how they're going in their schoolwork. You'll be able to get feedback over the course of a year, so that then those important conversations around recognising that a particular student actually needs some extension or needs some additional support, those conversations can happen through the year on the basis of assessment and reporting, and they don't have to wait for end of semester reports, which is a really important change for us. You will also find that family and teacher interviews occur in Terms 1 and Terms 3. That might be still in the online format into next year, but we will provide you with more information about that closer to the date, of course. Talking about dates, here are some important ones for starting 2021. Our mentor interviews will take place on Thursday, 28th of January. Now, that means that we'll be inviting families and students in to meet with their mentor for a conversation at the start of the year. It's going to be partly to enable our mentors and families to get to know each other a little bit better, but it will also provide some further information about the start of the year, including things like organising lockers and locks, providing timetables, and any other notices that are needed at the start of the year. We'll provide you with a letter coming home in the coming weeks to provide you with a time for your interview on that date. We're also going to be resuming classes on Friday 29th of January next year. So that's one to absolutely mark in the calendars, and that's the first date next year that all students will be expected on site all day. I also wanted to make mention of school book lists. That will be coming home shortly, and it will be included in the letter that comes home with details about Mentor Interview Day. It will also provide information about book collection. There are options there to have books posted home if you're choosing to order them through our book list supplier. So there'll be more information about that in the letter that comes home very shortly. So that concludes the first part of our presentation for this evening. We'd like to invite you now to hop back onto the Facebook live feed. Mr. Owen Keert and myself will be joining you live from the school, and we encourage you to post in the chat any questions that you might have that we haven't already answered. We'll be answering those live if you head back there now, and we look forward to joining you very, very soon. Thank you.